What's going on, everybody? Red Velvet's coming to you live. And boy, what a day. There's been a lot of stuff to go over, a lot of stuff to talk about. And it's been a lot. Stressing out over here. But I also have had a lot of Monster in the last 48 hours. I think I've had about eight cans of Monster. I don't recommend doing that, children, because it's not good for you. I'm seeing if we're live on Facebook right now because it says we're not, and that's not cool. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, real quick, I got to thank the people that make this possible. Woo! Hot Mess Express today, baby. Alrighty. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our subscribers. For 99 cents per month on Facebook, you can subscribe to the Diner Podcast. All you got to do is click that button twice, and you subscribe to the Diner Pod and everything. So nice. Okay. That's enough of the salesman stuff. We had a podcast that will be dropping Wednesday night or Wednesday at noon. I had the pleasure of talking to Jed Collins a couple weeks ago. Jed Collins has a great story. He is a former NFL fullback, and he got cut like 13 times. He played in the NFL for 7 years, and now runs a finance company. So shout out to Jed and all the cool things he does. So that episode will drop at noon. And we have some community notes as well. It's the EV Baseball Academy won their tournament this weekend. And let's see, the Riley 9U won their tournament. So congratulations to all of those athletes. And now, without further ado, it is time for our first segment. Okay. We got the next level athletes. People are like, what's the next level athletes? Well, we got the Dinerverse. We have now 39 high schools. Starting later this week, it'll be 40 and probably a little more than that. But we take those 39. Then you have your athletes that go to the next level. They go play in college. They go play in the pros. That's the next level athletes segment. We're going to start off with the NBA. The Cleveland Cavaliers and Craig Porter Jr. I about stumbled there. They took on the Memphis Grizzlies, and they won 142-126. The Cavs offense exploded in Memphis. Dennis Schrader led the way with a double-double, 22 points and 11 assists, while Evan Mobley was hyper-efficient, dropping 24 points. Craig Porter had 11 points, 8 rebounds, and the cycle. Then the Hawks faced the Cavs, and the Cavs won 122-116. Cleveland took care of business at home in the first half of a home-and-home series against Atlanta, securing their 51st win of the year. Then in the second game of that matchup, the Hawks won 124-102. Several starters were resting or managing their injuries. You know, they hit a speed bump. Max Stress returned to the starting lineup, but the Hawks offense proved to be too much. Craig Porter, though, he got 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. And then this regular season finale, Cavaliers win this 130-117 against the Washington Wizards, and they are in the playoffs, baby. Naquan Tomlin, baby, the rookie. He scored 26 points, and the Cavs set the tone early with a season-high 43 points in the first quarter. And Craig Porter Jr. had 7 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. And that is the NBA. Let's go over to Hungary. We're going across the pond over to Hungary, where Jalen Moore, the Cloverdale standout, he is playing for Ingus Kormid. They played their final regular season game against Duna Asfalt. And Duna Asfalt won 87-71. I can't read my typing. Boha Tomasevic was the leading scorer for Duna with 19 points and 4 rebounds. And then for Kormid, Kyle Foster had 11 points, and Jalen Moore 9 points and 10 assists. I about said boards, but it is rebounds. Okay, I'm just joking. That's not the all of the next level athletes. We're going to go to the MLB. Terrell South Star Timmy Herron. He played this week for the Cleveland Guardians. They took on the Kansas City Royals in a lot of games, but I just covered the one he played in. The Guardians won 2-1 against the Royals. They bounced back with a classic Guards win, stellar pitching, and timely small ball. The pitching staff combined to hold Kansas City to just one run, evening the series in front of the home crowd. Timmy Herron took the mound during the Guardians' 2-1 victory over the Kansas City Royals. Coming out of the bullpen, he pitched 0.1 innings and did not allow a hit or a run, holding the lead in a tight window. So congratulations, Timmy. And now we got college baseball, ISU. They start off against Illinois. I about said Indiana State. They are Indiana State. Duh. Sycamores travel to Champaign, a regional matchup against Illini. Tough road outing. Illini won. And then they play Southern Illinois and at Bob Warren. At the Warren, baby. At the Bob. That's called at the Bob. I'm not up on my lingo. Southern Illinois wins. Yikes, 17-9. Jackson Sparks had a home run and a 2-run double by Caleb Niehaus, but Southern Illinois responded with 13 unanswered runs. Yikes. Nick Sutherland, Greencastle standout, was in action. He was active in the early scoring. In the first inning, he reached on a walk and eventually scored on a Caleb Niehaus double. He also picked up a run in the third inning on a fielder's choice. So there you go. Greencastle Tiger Cub right there. And then Indiana State beat Illinois State 11-1. The Sycamores had a dominant performance. Ryan Carson delivered a career-best outing on the mound, carrying a shutout in the ninth. Carter Beck homered twice, and Emil Estrella added a long ball of his own as the Sycamores jumped out to a 4-0 lead in the first and never looked back. Let's see. Nick Sutherland started at first base and went 1 for 4 at the plate. Then they played Illinois State two more times. The Redbirds, they beat them this time 6-4. And then Indiana State rounds out the series 6-1 with the dub. My cat meowed, scared me. Nick Sutherland helped anchor the infield in a series-clinching 6-1 victory. Now we're going to Vincennes. The Trailblazers take on Parkland College, and Parkland wins 14-4. Wyatt Mullen appeared in the high-scoring 14. That's weird. He appeared. It was a high-scoring game. Scored a run as a pinch runner. And then he also got in the action against Olney. Olney won 12-2. And then let's see. Heartland Community College. Go away, cat. Leave me alone. Heartland wins 13-3. Like I said, we're live. I'm all over the place. I've had a lot of caffeine. Anyway. Murray State beats Bellarmine in 10 innings, 8-7. Derek LeBrun, the Riverton Park boy, appeared as a reliever during the 8-7 extra inning win. He faced 3 batters, recording 2 outs to help the Racers navigate a tight spot in the middle of a game. And then we have UIC Murray State in a 3-game series. UIC wins 3-1, and then they win 8-2. Dylan Zinko was on the mound in game 2. He was the relief pitcher in the middle innings. He provided a steady hand, tossing 2.1 innings of work while he didn't record any strikeouts in the appearance. He limited the damage to just 1 run, helping bridge the gap. So, and then USIC, that's the utility company, not the college. UIC got the sweep 10-5. Now we're going over to Huntington, Indiana. They had a doubleheader against Goshen. They sweep Goshen, and Kiefer Wilson was huge. He had a grand slam, and then that was in game 1. And then also the third inning provide more than enough cushion for the Foresters to secure the sweep. He had an RBI double in game 2. Boom. Way to go, Kiefer Wilson. And then they play Taylor in a series. Taylor won the series. It was unfortunate. Doubleheader at Grace College. I mean, baseball plays a lot of games in a week. It surprises me how many games they play, but they do it. Whew. They sweep Grace College 15-0, 9-7. And then in the series finale, they win again 22-2. Yikes. That's awesome. Now we got college softball. We're going over to St. Mary of the Woods. They start off against IU Southeast. IU Southeast wins 10-2. It's kind of a Riverton Park reunion. Caden Bennett recorded 2 hits. And then on IU Southeast, Lizzie Light Gable appeared as a pinch hitter. So and then Bailey Duke, another Riverton Park, 3 Riverton Park Panthers in one game right there. That's pretty cool. St. Mary's beats Midway University 9-8. Bailey Duke was the hero of the first extra inning game. She went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, including the game-tying solo home run at the bottom of the 7th. That forced the game into extras. So way to go there. They get a sweep and a doubleheader. I was going to say a double sweep, try to get cute, and I stuttered. That's what happens when you're me. You stumble, stutter, and fall. Kentucky Christian, St. Mary's wins 11-3 and 11-3. And then in senior day, they split against West Virginia Tech. They honored their seniors, celebrated their seniors with a split. So congratulations to the seniors. Thank you for all your hard work at St. Mary's. Let's see. IU Southeast and IU Columbus. The Grenadiers split. They win game 1 18-8. And then in game 2, they lose 8-7. And Lizzie Lightgable was in action in this game. She was in part of the 18-8 blowout, came off the bench, contributed a high-scoring effort, drawing a walk and eventually scoring a run. And then we have a split doubleheader again with Brescia. We win. IU Southeast wins 15-3. Then they lose 5-1. And then, wow, there's a lot. They play a lot. Okay, anyway. Now, Taylor. We're moving over to Taylor. Taylor faces Mount Vernon Nazarene. And Taylor wins this one game, 8-0, and then they lose 4-3. Indiana Wesleyan, a balanced performance. They beat St. Francis twice. They sweep St. Francis 4-2 and 11-2. And then a doubleheader against Spring Arbor, 5-4, 8-6. Boom, 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 double win. Appalachian State, the Raging Cajun. No, wait, they face the Raging Cajuns, you dummy. They go 0-3 against the Raging Cajuns. Sophie Mochos played 7.2 innings and only earned 1 run on 8 hits. So congratulations, Sophie, the Clay City standout. Way to go. Now we got Rose Holman and Abigail Shear had a big weekend at Earlham. They had a doubleheader. Earlham wins 9-5 and 13-6. In the second game, Abigail Shear led the way for Rose Holman, going 3 for 4 with 2 ribbies. So congratulations there. Doubleheader at Evansville. Well, with Evansville at Southern Illinois. They lose both games 9-0 and 8-0. Kate Ridgway took the loss, allowing 6 earned runs over 5 innings. So that stinks, but that's college. And now it's time for the varsity special. All righty, we're starting at the top of the list. I got to scroll. There's a lot of scrolling. Terre Haute North. They beat Shakamak 13-3. Colton Moore went 4 for 4 with a home run and a career-high 7 RBIs. Nate Millington went 4 for 4 as well and had an RBI and a stolen base. Then they beat the Arrows 4-1. Back-to-back wins for the Patriots. Let's go, baby. Parker High went 2 for 4 and had a double and a ribby. And then they faced the Castle Knights. And they win 5-4. Terre Haute South. We're going Southtown, baby. They take on the Danville Warriors and win 9-5. First win of the season. Let's go Braves. Cam Hoke reached the base 3 out of 4 times. He had 3 runs, a stolen base, and a ribby. Cooper Payne. He had reached the base 3 out of 4 times as well, and two RBIs and a double. Noah Fields went 2 for 4. Gavin Freeman had 2.1 innings pitched and had 3 strikeouts. Then they faced Southport and they win 12-2. Tristan Deal had 6 innings pitched with 12 strikeouts. Congratulations. Noah Fields reached the base 3 out of 4 times and had an RBI. Cam Hoke, 1 for 3 with a triple. Congratulations there. Now we're going to West Terre Haute, to West Side. They start off against Linton Miners, and they win 5-2. Reese Wilbur dominated on the mound, 5 innings pitched with 10 Ks, baby. Peyton Powers, he had 4 Ks, and Garrett Porter had 3 hits. Dawson Mundy added some more RBIs. So way to go, Vikings. Then they faced Newton, Illinois. Newton came in to West Vigo, and they edge out the Vikings 2-1 in a pitcher's duel. And then on Saturday, they came up on the short end against Tri-West Hendricks. So West Vigo started off hot pitching and timely hitting, but faced stronger competition on the road. So there's that. Clay City, they start off against Northview, and they came up on the short end 16-1. And then, but they bounced back, and they beat Cloverdale 8-7 with the first. That's their first dub of the season. And then they face Sullivan on Saturday and come up a little short, 20-0. Northview, they beat Clay City, as we talked about earlier. Then they shut out Martinsville 11-0. And then they face Greencastle on Saturday. Greencastle's a very good squad, and they lose 12-8. So there's that. North Central, on Monday, they face South Putt, and they win 11-7. And then they face the White River Valley Wolverines, and they win 12-2. And then they end the week 12-1 W over the Owen Valley Patriots. Congratulations to the T-Birds, baby. Cats scared me. Sullivan, they come up on short end against Terre Haute North, 4-1. Paul Ridgeway went 1 for 3, had a double and a ribby. On Thursday, they bounced back. They beat Linton 20-7. A lot of home runs that game. I think there were 6 total home runs. Carter Mishler had 2 home runs. Jaden Norris had a home run. Carson Norris, what do you have? Only allowed 2 hits. There you go. And then they beat Clay City 20-0. Riverton Park. Before we go too far, before I forget, they are the Banks of the Wabash champions. Congratulations, RP. They start off against Fountain Central. They play Fountain Central back-to-back, and they win 16-6 and 5-2. Eli Roberts went 2 for 4, had 2 RBIs, and scored a run. And then we start the Banks of the Wabash. They start out at South Vermilion, and they win 10-0. What a shutout, baby. Bruce Landis, strong outing, 10 strikeouts. Wow. Blake Todd reached the base all 3 times, had 2 RBIs and a double. Jackson Weil reached the base 3 times, 2 runs and a stolen base. And then in the championship, they face Park Heritage, and they win 13-2. Brody McConnell, 7 innings pitched and 2 errors on just 1 hit. What a day. Eli Roberts went 3 for 5 and had 2 RBIs. Bruce Landis, 2 for 5 and had 2 RBIs as well. Park Heritage, they come up in they split with North Vermilion, 11-5 and 12-2. That was their first dub of the year. And then they face Riverton Park and lose 13-2. North Vermilion, when they beat Park Heritage 11-5, Logan Lewis had 5 strikeouts. Owen Hinchy, 2 RBIs, 3 hits. And Mason Page, 2 hits and 3 ribbies. So pretty good outing for the Falcons. South V, baby. They just win. They beat Attica 13-3. Colton Minute went 2 for 2 and an RBI. Bryson Lemons 2 for 3 and 2 doubles. And then Attica got the rematch, and they lost to Attica 10-5, and then they lost to Riverton Park 10-0. You'll win some, you lose some, what I'm saying. OV lost to Bloomfield 11-2, and then North Central 12-1. Edgewood, let's see, I lost my spot. Edgewood beat Forest Park 7-0. Mason Merritts he only had 6 strikeouts and only allowed 6 hits, so that's what I'm talking about. Jackson Cosby went 2 for 4 and had a ribby. They beat Eastern Green 6-0. Now, North Putt started out a little rocky. They faced Crawfordsville back-to-back nights. They lost 11-1 and 4-3. And then they lost to Monrovia 6-5. Greencastle, they're on fire right now. They are on fire. They beat WRV 19-0. They beat Frankfort 4-2 and 5-2. Nathan Sutherland, he had a home run and only allowed 3 hits on the mound. Brighton Gregg had 9 strikeouts. Sam Gooch was on base multiple times. They beat Northview 12-8, as we talked about. Sam Gooch had 4 hits, and Ashton Dayhuff 1 for 4, had a double and a ribby. We got Cascade. They beat Western Boone 6-2. Then they beat Western Boone again 9-0. They come up on the short end against Mooresville 8-2. Cloverdale, baby, they're starting off hot. They beat Duggar Union 17-2. Nick Shepard had 10 strikeouts. Justin Mattingly went 3 for 3 and had 2 ribbies. Marcus Boyd had 2 ribbies as well. And then they have a dominant performance against Eminence, 19-0. Landon Duncan, 12 strikeouts on the mound. Justin Mattingly had 2 ribbies. And then they lose a tight one against Clay City, 8-7, and beat White River Valley twice, 20-13 and 7-3. South Putt against North Central. North Central wins 11-7. Already talked about that. They bounced back and they beat Eminence 22-1. Ken McDaniel went 5 for 5. Had 3 RBIs and 2 doubles. Eli Owen, 2 for 2 and 3 runs scored. Graham Clark added a home run. Lucas Harris had 3 ribbies. Eminence, it's been rough. They're still 0 for. Western Boone's 1-3 right now. Frontier 2-2. It's a little tough. Southmont 0-3. Now North Montgomery, baby, they're starting off hot. They're 3-0. They beat Southmont 11-1. And Keaton Brown had 2 RBIs. And then we go to Seeger. They beat Seeger 10-0. And they beat Southmont again. I missed that one. 9-1 as well. Crawfordsville, once again, they beat North Putt twice, and then they beat Fountain Central 11-1. Henry Bannon having a great run. Attica, they split their early results, I guess you could say. They split with South Vermilion, and then they lose to Crawfordsville. So it's tight out here in the Dinerverse. Dude, there's a lot of teams. I didn't realize how many teams I talk about until you put it on paper. We're across the state line, not the pond, but the state line. Richland County. They beat Oblong Hudsonville Palestine 9-1. And then they come up short against Teutopolis, but they bounce back and they beat Edwards County 8-1 and then fall short to Vincennes 5-3. Newton. They're pretty good. They're darn good, actually. They beat Altamont 13-5. They beat West Vigo 2-1. Eli Wolf pitched a complete game against West Vigo. He had 6 strikeouts. David Ferguson had a homer. And then Robinson, they come up short against Red Hill 8-6, and they beat Cumberland 5-4. But we got KZ Westfield now on the clock. This is our newest team we've added. They lose to Windsor Stewardson Strasbourg. That sounds German. 4-3, and then they lose to Bree Central 7-1. Now we're switching gears to softball. Terre Haute area. We have the Lady Braves bash at the MSA Fields. Terre Haute North was hot. They beat Sullivan 18-8. And then, again, 5-4. Let's see. They dropped a tough one to Robinson, 3-11. Beat West Vigo 18-8 and Lutheran 10-0. Maddie Strange, Jaylee Lindley, and Kinsey Ziegler. They got player of the game nods for their clutch hitting and multi-hit games that fueled those big innings. West Vigo, they battled, but they took some lumps, losing to North. Terre Haute South mixed it up with a 11-1 loss to Edgewood. Sullivan split and went 8-6 over Robinson. Northview had a 7-5 victory over Paris. So I didn't even know the Braves bash. Well, I thought it was a little league game. That was some good softball. I can't wait to go through all the stats in a little more depth. So it'll be a good time. North Putt, they are dominant. They're dominant. They beat Crawfordville 16-2 and 23-0. And then 18-0. Kirsten Connor, lights out. No hitter with 7 strikeouts and just 2 walks. They beat Monrovia 9-6. They currently sit at 4-0. South Putt, Greencastle, Cloverdale, Eminence, and Owen Valley are 16-2. Although 16-2 offensive showcase. Okay. I can't read this stuff. Edgewood put a mercy rule on Terre Haute South 11-1. So Edgewood's tough. They're a tough team. And now we got Clay City. Clay City's on fire too. They lost to Greencastle. They rebounded, beat Linton Stockton, and then made some noise against Bloomfield. Bloomfield with the highest scoring. Wow, 21-9. North Central Farmersburg and North Davies, solid non-conference showings. Now there's that. What's this? Riverton Park. They are your Banks of the Wabash champions as well. So Riverton Park, it's a good weekend to be a Panther. Banks of the Wabash champs yet again. Woo! Crawfordsville ran to a buzzsaw. That's right, against North Putt. What else we got? Over in Illinois, Casey Westfield. Wow. 19-1. Casey Westfield's 19-1. Ella Whitaker went deep with a homer and multiple RBIs in their 17-4 victory. Congratulations. Marshall went 3-1 in their division at the Lady Braves Bash and finished strong. Richland County and Newton and others held their own in local Illinois matchups. So I'll tell you what, there's a lot of action in this area, but we're gonna get down. We're going down to middle school divisions now. We're going to start with some basketball. We're going to Paris. They were in the Paris Havoc. They were in the Under Armour Futures. They faced the Legacy Force Supreme 3 times. Legacy won all 3, 40-18, 51-18, and 44-26. Lake Sandstrom had 5 points and 3 rebounds. Aria Elliott had 4 points and 2 rebounds. And then in the second game, Aria Elliott had 4 points and 3 rebounds, and so did Lake Sandstrom. And then in the big game, Brooklyn Ison, 6 points and 5 boards. Peyton Frazier had 5 points, and Lake Sandstrom 5 points and 5 rebounds. And then we got North Clay JV softball. They played 2 games this week. They beat North Central 22-1. Avery Hoskins, 3 hits, 5 RBIs, and a double. Leah Modisett, 3 hits and 4 RBIs, and a double as well. Lindley Brashears had 2 triples. Adeline Pattengale had 8 strikeouts. And then against the Miners, come up short, 13-0. Adeline Pattengale had a hit, and Avery Hoskins 2 strikeouts. I know I rumbled and bumbled through the high school stuff. I'm going to get better at that, I promise. There's a lot to talk about, and I got to do better proofreading. But now it's time for our rookie report. All righty, there's a lot of softball, a lot of baseball. We're in the midst of that season. So we got Gators, the 10U Gators team. They take on the Riptide fast pitch. Riptide wins 14-2. Claire Reedy, Maylee Hoggett, and Ellis Kula all had a hit. Then the Gators face the Ohio Hawks. The Hawks win 6-4. Gators take on the 1%. The 1% win 11-3. Ellis Kula had a hit and a triple. Chloe Hoskins had 4 strikeouts. Then the Gators take on the Midwest Crush. Sophia Wallace, 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and 2 doubles. Ryland Strange had a hit and 2 ribbies. Maylee Hoggett had a double, and Ellis Kula had a home run and 2 strikeouts on the mound. We got Knights 8U action. Never mind, that is not the right team. We're moving on to the Chaos. Rick Vaughn Major League Bash. The Chaos 12U team were out there this week. Them and Mooresville both were at the Ricky Vaughn Major League Bash. We're going to start with Chaos against the River Bandits. The Bandits win 11-0. Cruz Shepard had a hit and a double. Patrick Stevens had 5 strikeouts. Then the Diamond Dogs. The Dogs win 3-2. Cruz Shepard a hit, 2 RBIs, and a home run. Ethan Beasley had the lone strikeout on the mound. Then the Chaos against the Mustangs. Chaos win 8-3. Wyatt Tabler, 2 hits and a double. Reed Robinson had a hit, 4 RBIs, and a home run. Patrick Stevens had a double. Wyatt Tabler with 5 strikeouts. And in the final game, Chaos against the Canes Midwest Gold. Chaos win 4-2. Parker Hazlitt had 3 hits. Elijah Farron with 2. And Reed Robinson had 3 strikeouts. The Chaos go 2-2 on the weekend. Now Mooresville, 12U. They take on the Diamond Time Warriors, and the Pioneers win 12-10. Weston Garman had 2 hits and an RBI. Easton Neely had a hit, 3 RBIs, and a double. Andrew Boggs with a triple. Easton Neely and Andrew Boggs had 5 strikeouts on the mound. Mooresville then takes on the Indy Legends. The Legends win 10-2. Tucker Rimster hit 2 RBIs and a home run. Mason Robbins, 3 strikeouts on the mound. And in the final game, Mooresville takes on the Iroquois Infantry. The Infantry win 10-2. Tucker Kelly had a hit and a ribby. Austin Boggs had a double. Mason Robbins with 4 strikeouts. Now we got 9U action. The Knights were down in Sullivan, and they start off against the Sullivan Sluggers. The Knights win 13-7. Houston Dyer had 3 hits, 4 RBIs, and a double. Max Pierce had 3 hits, an RBI, and a double. River Compton added a double as well, and he had 3 strikeouts on the mound. Then the Knights take on the Linton Stars. 8-6, Knights get the dub. Houston Dyer had 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and a double. Yes, a 2 and a 2. Maddox Abrams had a hit, 2 RBIs, and a triple. Drew Shoemaker and Wrigley Camp had a double. Max Pierce adds a triple as well. Maddox Abrams had 4 strikeouts on the mound. The Knights take on the Sullivan Sluggers in the final game of the weekend. Sullivan wins 12-7. Houston Dyer had 3 hits and 2 ribbies. Rogue Nodley had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. And Drew Shoemaker had a double and a home run. River Compton and Jax Cowden each had a strikeout. Now we got the Mambas. They were at the Ricky Vaughn Major League Bash as well. The Mambas take on the Canes Midwest Bloomington, and the Mambas win 10-1. Rhett Blair had 2 hits, 3 RBIs, and a double. Emerson Sinclair, 2 hits and a ribby. Colin Hill added a double. Dawson Mason and Max Harden added a triple, and Colin Hill had 2 strikeouts on the mound. Then they face the Mad Dogs. The Mad Dogs win at 13-9, not 19-3 like I first looked at. 13-9. Rhett Blair had 2 hits. Colton Coley had a hit and 3 ribbies. Dawson Mason and Kyler Keith had 3 strikeouts on the mound. Mambas then take on the Groove. Shake your groove thing, shake your groove thing. Mambas win 24-4. Emerson Sinclair had himself a game. 4 hits, 2 RBIs, and 2 doubles. Rhett Blair had 3 hits, 4 RBIs, and a double. Landon L.P. Pestoff, 3 hits and 4 ribbies. And Colin Hill, 3 strikeouts on the mound. And in the final game of the weekend, Mambas take on Center Grove, and Center Grove wins 9-8. Dawson Mason had 2 hits and an RBI. Emerson Sinclair, a hit, 2 RBIs, a triple. Dawson Mason also had 3 strikeouts. The Mambas go 2-2 on the weekend. Now we got some 8U baseball action. That's where the 8U was. I couldn't find it earlier. We're going to start with the Blue Jays over there in Putnam County. They went to Greenwood and played in the best tournament in town. The Blue Jays took on the Renegades. The Blue Jays get the shutout victory 21-0. Jackson had 3 hits, 4 RBIs, and a double. Cole had 3 hits, 4 RBIs, a triple, and a home run. And then Gavin added a double as well. Then they take on the Apex Elite, and the Blue Jays win 19-4. Bowen had 4 hits, 3 RBIs, and a double. Andon had 3 hits and 5 ribbies. Gavin added a home run as well. Then the Blue Jays take on TBD. Blue Jays win 17-7. Jackson had 3 hits and 3 RBIs. Tucker had 3 hits, 2 ribbies, and a triple. Bowen had a double. Clay had a triple. Gavin had 2 home runs, and Cole had a home run as well. And in the final game of the weekend, Blue Jays take on the KSA Bombers. The Bombers win 13-11. Jackson had 3 hits, 2 RBIs, a double, and a home run. Yes, that is an almost cycle. Cole added a home run. Andon, Bowen, and Noah each added a double. The Blue Jays go 3-1, and they were the runner-up in that tournament. So congratulations to the Blue Jays. Now we got some Knights 8U action. The Knights take on 5-star Indiana. The Knights win 21-8. Grayson Moss, 3 hits, 3 RBIs, a triple, and a home run. Brody Weichel had 3 hits, 3 RBIs, a triple, and a home run. Eli Snyder and Tate Whitman each added a home run. And then the Knights take on the WF Indiana Bandits, and the Bandits win 15-4. Krieg Moore had 2 hits and a double. Broad Silvers had 2 hits. Benny Foxworthy added a triple as well. The Knights go 1-1 on the weekend. We got the Sullivan Springs Showdown, the Mad Dog Black. They are, did I get that? Is that on there? Yes, it is. They are the champions of the Sullivan Showdown. They start off against Mad Dog Red, and Black wins 22-5. Kason Gower going off. 4 hits, 5 RBIs, and 3 doubles. James Swank had 4 hits, 4 RBIs, and 3 doubles. Corbin Strader had 2 hits, had 2 doubles, and a home run. Asher Baca and Nixon Lively each had a double. Then they take on the Spring 2026 team, and the Mad Dogs win 12-1. Kason Gower had 3 hits, 2 RBIs, and 2 doubles. James Swank had 3 hits, an RBI, and a double. Asher Baca, Baron Fry, Corbin Strader, and Nixon Lively each had a double. Lincoln Anderson had a double and a home run. So the Mad Dogs went 2-0 on that one. Okay, we got some CCSL 8U All-Stars. They went down to Shakamak and played in a couple scrimmage games. They take on the Shakamak Blues. They come up short on both of them. 16-14, Blues get the dub, and 24-14. Game 1, Anna Moore led the way. 4 hits, 5 RBIs, and a double. Emmy Huffman had 4 hits, 2 ribbies, and a double. And Reagan Emsweiler had 4 hits and a ribby. In Game 2, Emmy Huffman had 4 hits and a ribby, and Bree Sorrell added 4 hits. Lots of great plays on defense, including pop flies caught by Elliott, Reagan, Anna, and Emmy, and then double play made by Anna. Some diving stops by Maddie. Great work by the girls. It's their first action of 2026. More fun to come. Knights 11U 2033. Knights start off against TBD. TBD wins 5-3. AJ Johnson had 2 hits. Wyatt Hayes had a hit and a ribby. Hudson Madsen had 3 strikeouts. Knights then take on the Indiana Jacks, and it's a tie, 8-8. Lucas Harrison had 2 hits and a triple. Wyatt Hayes had a hit, 3 RBIs, and a double. Luke Leslie had a home run. Easton Herbert had 3 strikeouts on the mound. Excuse me. Knights then take on NCBC. I thought that was NBC when I first read that this morning. The Knights win 15-7. Luke Leslie, 3 hits, 4 RBIs, and 2 home runs. A.J. Johnson had 3 hits and a ribby. Lucas Harrison had a home run. And then on the mound, Luke Leslie and Hudson Madsen each had 3 strikeouts. And in the final game of the weekend, Knights take on the USA Prime. I got Prime, boy. Prime wins 7-6. Lucas Harrison had 3 hits, 2 RBIs, a double, and a home run. Jackson Pestov had a hit, a ribby, and a double. Lucas Harrison had 3 strikeouts on the mound. The Knights go 1-2-1 on the weekend. We got some 7U Knights. They took on TBD, and the TBD wins 39-20. Outcast 12U Austin. They did great this weekend. They won their tournament. I haven't posted the picture yet because I'm chasing my tail, I feel like. The Outcasts start off against Fish, and they beat Fish 10-0. Jocelyn Martin, 3 hits, 2 RBIs, a double, and a triple. Addison Austin had 2 hits and 2 RBIs and 10 strikeouts on the mound. Then they faced the Lady Rebels, and the Outcasts win 16-1. Madeline Ventura, 2 hits, an RBI, and a double. Kinley Carter had a hit, a ribby, and a triple. Addison Austin added a hit and a ribby. And Scotland Stewart had 5 strikeouts. Next up is the Lady Squires, and they get beat 3-2. Madeline Ventura had a hit, an RBI, and a double. Addison Austin had a hit and a ribby and 8 strikeouts on the mound. Then they faced the Skillish Test Rippets. That's a long name. Outcast wins 7-5. Addison Austin led the way, 2 hits and 3 RBIs and 8 strikeouts on the mound. And then they faced Demand Command. And Demand Command goes down 4-2. Maddie Ventura had 2 hits, and Addison Austin had a hit and a ribby. And 5 strikeouts on the mound. She's on fire. Final game of the weekend against Indiana Hustle. Outcasts win in shutout fashion 7-0. Issa Sullivan and Madeline Ventura each had a hit, and Addison Austin had 3 strikeouts. Now we're going over to Reelsville. The 9U Warriors were in action. They took on game 1 against Ned Jeeps. The Jeeps win 14-1. Brecken Griffith had the lone run for the team and 3 strikeouts on the mound. Next, they faced Bloomfield. The Cardinals win 12-5. Hadley Pearson had a hit and a ribby, and Addison Peters had 2 strikeouts. And then they faced Bloomfield yet again. Bloomfield wins 11-0. River Peters had a hit, and Brecken Griffith had 5 strikeouts. Now we got Rec League action, CCSL. This is the first week for Rec here in Clay County. We start off with First Christian Church Daycare. They take on Ducks Unlimited, and FCC wins 10-7. Elliot Forker led the way, 4 hits and a double. Bree Sorrell had 4 hits. And then Indiana Santa Maria, Marin Trout, and Oakley had 3 hits. Ren, Quinn, and Lorelei had 2 hits. And Matea added a hit as well. We're going to pivot. I'll pivot because we're going to play basketball. Junior Knights take on Arizona, and they win big time, 64-4. Carter Brunette had 18 points and 8 assists. And Parker Neese had 16 points and 18 rebounds. Yes, that is a double-double. And we're going to pivot yet again. We got some soccer. I'd kick, but I'd probably kick everything over, and this would also be a bigger disaster than it already is. 15U Clay Youth Soccer Club. They played at home on Saturday against Plainfield, won 10-2. And then they played the Mooresville Comets away and won 4-3. They're 2-0 on the weekend. Aiden Fishburne led the way with 7 goals and an assist. Shiloh Scammahorn had 2 goals and an assist. Tej Singh had 2 goals. AJ Tipton with a goal and 2 assists. Lucas Mapes with a goal and Harper Spillman with a goal. Cross Bumgardner with 3 assists. Kyle Mapes with an assist. Jordan York and Carter Hill also throwing in assists as well. Congratulations to the Comets. And then we got FHS Youth Soccer Club. They started their opening day. They had 4 games. Union Station beats Paul Fection 7-2. Union Station then beats 48 Tree Service. Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that. Union Station comes up short against 48 Tree Service 4-2. Shakamak Rehab beats Black Barn Development 8-3. And then Shelburne Ebenezer beats Hands Aesthetics 6-3. Well, there's a lot there, and we're just getting warmed up. So now it's time for my favorite part of the show. That's right. It is time for Red Velvet's Power Performers, and here we go. All right, that was your power performers. Congratulations, but we also have something new. Well, not new, but we have Beast. The Beast are back. We have two Beast Awards this week. Here they are. That's right. Maggie Krause threw a perfect game against Riverton Park and also added 2 home runs as well in that game. And then on Saturday at the Braves Bash, Bloomfield standout, Addison Laffrey. She had 2 grand slams in 1 inning. 2 grand slams in 1 inning. That is impressive. So congratulations to those ladies. And you know what? That does it for this week's edition of the U Sports Chowdown. I had to thank the sponsors one last time. So we're out of here. Keep pushing. We'll see you next week.